Well, we're always out here working for you. We're always out here trying to find out what is going on. And the latest with the search for the superintendent. Now, we made some mentions about this on Wednesday, where the process that is taking place for the search, we do not feel it's the transparent search process that we are used to seeing, especially with the fact that there is that controversy with Dr. Sean Joseph. And we just by the pattern of what we have seen, we do believe that the county executive is trying to steer the narrative so that she will be able to say that Dr. Sean Joseph, ta-da, came out on top of everybody in a national search. So we just started looking at some stuff, additional stuff that we think the public should understand and be concerned about. And also do your own research because we always say do your own research. And then we're just going to chat briefly about it. So I am going to share my screen as soon as I bring my little presentation up. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen. So, and excuse me, allergies have been tearing me up this year. I don't know about anybody else. Levon, I don't know if it's been but
A
hitting you hard.
little bit. I think I still have residue from Benadryl.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me bring up this presentation. Actually, let me just go to one monitor so I can.
Yeah, this is really a hot issue for us to give up our Friday afternoon to come out. But we
Mhm.
know that next week, at some point, we don't know what day, while Tanya's setting up the presentation, I'll just say next week is supposed to be the announcement day. And, we always find it interesting when people do things on Fridays and holiday weekends when they think y'all not paying attention. And
Mhm.
we just want to give you an opportunity to get in that county executive mailbox, your board of education representative mailbox, your council members mailbox, and object. If you are concerned about what is presented here this afternoon, in the least bit not understanding it, if you sat in on last night's conversation with the county executive and you walked away more confused than ever, what that says to me is it's not time yet. And it was even proposed by the president of the SCLC on Saturday that we put a pause on this election process until after the election, because it's just too many moving parts, too much going on. And so we want you all to have an opportunity to catch up on some of these missing details. You ready, Tanya?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you all. You know, we have posted a few videos about whether or not Dr. Sean Joseph was ever actually appointed to this position according to the law. And we do have that challenge up in the circuit court right now. But today we just did a little more digging on this, on his eligibility. And so we're just going to share information and you decide for yourself. Was he ever eligible to serve? Now, some of the things that Maryland requires, um, or I'm not going to say Maryland requires, but what it's typically looked at when you are selecting a superintendent of schools. Now, of course, the education is usually something we never have a problem with. A candidate must be eligible for a Maryland 2 certification. This is what we're going to hone in on today because this is important. They must have, and this is what we're asking for Prince George's County, significant progress, progressive, responsible pre-K through 12 leadership, which is typical uh, that you would want. Have now we added this criteria in, which is different from what other jurisdictions would actually do, but this actually also, even though it appears to strengthen the requirement, it also um, to us cause some conflict. But you can see it's a little more than what Maryland asks. They need to have proven success leading instructional improvement and organizational transformation. Remember, Dr. Sean Joseph was out of the field for almost 7 years before becoming interim superintendent. So, kind of wondering how that is proven. Demonstrated fiscal stewardship of large public sector budgets. Well, we know that ain't happening here. Since he has taken over, we now have a $250 million deficit in our school system, something we have never seen. And and something that just doesn't show that it's a pattern, even from when he was asked to leave Tennessee. So we don't see how his name could ever appear based on our financial condition. Strong labor relations and community engagement. Yeah, he's been riding all around the county, and we see him popping up and doing things here and there. But remember, strong labor relations also, to me, means that you have to make sure you toe the line when decisions are not in the best interest. And Levon, feel free to jump in when it's not in the best interest for the entire school system. And remember, part of this deficit that we have, at least close to $100 million, is because Dr. Joseph coming in here and in less than 60 days, not even taking the time to sit down and look at our financial system, went and signed a contract for the teachers union, increasing salaries, knowing that it was going to obligate us for around $100 million that was not in any budget in this universe.
Tanya, if I can interrupt you,
Hmm.
wondering if we can get this in just a bigger mode, like maybe take out the next slide, change the presentation mode.
Oh, you're still in presentation mode?
I mean, I'm seeing the live slide and then the next slide.
Hold up. Let me switch back. Oh, there you go. Is that better?
Mm, no, we're still seeing both.
Hold on. Hold on. This is why I wanted to go to one screen, because this new update of Zoom doesn't always. Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen again. Yeah, it doesn't always refresh when you change your screen.
Hmm. Well, I'm not the techie one in the group, so it
Okay.
does what it do.
Now, do you see it?
It's setting up. Yes, there we go.
Okay, great, great,
That's
great. Yeah.
better.
Yeah, I have this thing at work too. Sometimes Zoom does not always refresh the screen. Okay, so yeah, the budget. This is a requirement, but considering where we are currently with our budget in Prince George's County, I don't see how his name can even make a cut anywhere close to it.
Right. Just the state of our budget right now would eliminate him because it looks like he was fiscally irresponsible.
Exactly. Remember, he came into the system, and he came in before his contract was even effective. His
Hmm.
contract wasn't effective until July 1. He came in June 27th, firing people left and right. Somebody who has been outside of this county in the school system for over 7 years, and then comes in firing all these people who have the history, and then not even paying attention to the budget that was on the table, that was a responsible budget. So
Hmm.
yeah, that alone, no. Mm-mm. And even with the at least 5 years as a superintendent, and it's funny how they put or senior executive in here. I think that that is something that was my feeling thrown in there, because usually the experience is around them being a superintendent,
Hmm.
or something like a deputy superintendent, but saying a senior executive.
Right.
I mean, I could be a senior executive, but not on the non. be in the non-academic side of the administration. Would that make me qualified as long as I had a master's and I had a PhD? So some of that I didn't. Um,
I would be curious to see what the requirements were on when they hired Maxwell and when they hired Height. It would be good for us to have time to do a side by side of what those requirements were.
exactly. And remember, those requirements. Well, if I remember, we were using a one of those. Was it NEA? I think we were using, or the national. Um, it was a national organization that
Mm-hmm.
does selections for superintendents.
Okay.
But getting going back, um, this one, knowledge of Maryland public law and state bylaws and local board governance. Now remember, he didn't even know that he had a required time to present the budget to the public, and even went on the news bragging about all his hard work and what he was getting ready to do, and was presenting the budget almost 2 months late to the public,
Mm-hmm.
even though it is written in law and hasn't changed in years. But so to me, these three things here alone, these last two, fiscal leadership, labor and community relations, and governance, especially fiscal and governance, his name shouldn't even make a cut. There's no
Mm-hmm.
way in the world. All the board policies and laws that he has broken since he's been in the interim position and less than 90 days, less than 9 months, or is
Mm-hmm.
it, what are we? Oh, we're almost at a year now because we are coming up on June.
Mm-hmm.
But the big thing is our deficit, the $250 million. So those are the typical requirements. The other thing that is of concern is based on from what we are reading, Dr. Sean Joseph became a superintendent, not in Maryland. He was one in Delaware, and he was a superintendent and or director of schools, which is equivalent to a superintendent in Tennessee. And so, based on that, him being a superintendent in Maryland should fall under the reciprocal licensing for him. And when you think about what that requires to be a superintendent in Maryland, based on the law, of course, he must hold a valid professional state license or something comparable in the area. But here's where the sticking point is: verify at least 36 months of effective performance as a superintendent during the past 7 years. Remember, before he came to Prince George's County in 2025, he was not in any pre-K through 12 system. He worked outside of the education arena at that point. So that was almost 7 years. So how are they demonstrating this? How could he even and this will then let us know that this process was tainted. If his name shows up, then we know that this was not a fair process because his name should not have come up there. Because how are they allowing him to meet this?
Mm-hmm.
Now there is another path for reciprocity, but they're not disclosing it. From what I can research, this is the most common one used because it's falling under Comar. Verifying 2 years of qualifying graduate work. Okay, he could do that. Complete the required special education coursework of approved credits. Of course, that's something that should also be made known to the public that he has done that. But here, how can he do this? 36 months. He did not have his license from 20, I think they said it's about 2019 until 2025
So that's
because
6 years.
mhm, that
Mm.
he did not have his license.
And he hasn't even been here 36 months.
Mm,
So why wouldn't it have been? if I were to give them um some some grace, right?
Hmm.
Why didn't they just offer him a 3-year contract to get? Now I don't know if this is a legal thing or whatever. I'm just throwing it out for conversation. If the
Hmm.
36 months is a requirement, right? Or something that they strongly take into consideration because the 36 months means you have been consistent, you have
Hmm.
been reliable, you have been responsible, you have been responsive, right? That
Right.
means that wherever you're serving, no one was ready to kick you out after 90 days.
Exactly.
So, what if they had just decided, you know what, we know that this is an unusual situation. We're transitioning our leadership midterm. Maybe we should look at giving him this 36-month opportunity, right? And at
Hmm.
least he would have something to be measured by to be
Well,
competitive.
yeah, he can't do that because remember, Comar requires that the permanent superintendent would have to be named. Now, you have to name a superintendent by, I think it's July 1.
Right,
And if you can't, if the system can't name one by, I think it's July 30th, I believe it is. And I'm sorry if I got those dates wrong. I think it's either July 30th or June 30th, but one, yeah, I think it's June 30th. So they can't name it by June 30th so that they're effective by July 1. Then you can go into an interim
okay.
status. But are we going to continue making him interim every year? When there are qualified people out there.
Well, I think for the stability of the school system and the stability of the county, based on the circumstances that we have before us, the only hesitance I would have is because we are in an election year, and suppose, um, not hesitance, but the reason I supported putting it on pause, let's just say by some, that the outcomes of June
Hmm.
23rd election oust Aisha Braveboy. Suppose general election, we end up with, we'll have another race, and then we're starting with a brand new county executive, right? So now they hire him, I'm
Hmm.
sure on the assumption that she's gonna win, and the people who are incoming, the person incoming says, you know what, I don't like how you came on board. I don't think you've been effective. I think all of this process has been shady. So I would like to excuse you from your responsibilities. We're going to eat a couple of dollars here, but we're going to start fresh.
Well,
So at least it would have protected us in that way.
yeah, and see, this gets to the point why our current law in place, it just needs to be changed because then we start making the selection a political process.
Mm-hmm.
And the school system should be nonpartisan. It should not be attached to a county executive, a county council agenda. That's the problem right now.
Yep.
Which you bring a good point. And I understand us saying we want to pause. I really don't support that. My thing is we need to get the right person in. We pause it if we find now if Sean Joseph's name comes up in there as a finalist. Heck yeah, we pause it because we know the process looks like it would have been tainted because he would not have made this 36 months of effective performance as a superintendent in the past 7 years because he was a superintendent elsewhere. So he's got to come under reciprocity.
Right. I mean, I guess my whole thing is like a lot of things that people do in this county. Your intentions may be well founded, but how you go about doing it or how they go about doing it makes it complicated, makes
Hmm.
it questionable, makes it unethical. And so it's like, who's the adult that's sitting down and looking at the timeline and saying, how is this going to potentially impact our school district? And that's where no one, to me, is really focusing attention on the long term impact of our students and our staff. I mean,
Right.
with every new person comes new ideas. So that's why I said what I said. I mean, I absolutely agree that it should not be political. It became
Hmm.
political because of the corruption, right?
Right.
It's halfway political because of politics. Not
Hmm.
because of good policy, but because of
Right.
politics. Not because things weren't working, but because of personalities,
Right.
because of politics. And so I would really like this to get an overhaul. I would love to see state control of the school system. I hate to say that. I don't know how that
That's when
affected,
we look, we were more efficient when we had
you
it that
know,
way.
it
We
just we
People
got to
don't like it when we had a fully appointed board.
mm-hmm.
That's when we were more effective. That's when we
Yeah.
got things done. So
Mhm.
for those of you, when you see your delegate sitting up here smiling, talking about I want to be your delegate and your senator, you start asking them about this process because this is a
Mhm.
mess that we're subjecting our kids to. Now,
Yep.
let's look at this time analysis for Dr. Sean Joseph. So now remember, the reciprocity says that it has to happen within 7 years. It can't be no historical 7 years where you're pulling out from 15 and 20 years ago. It has to be current within a current 7 year period. Though if we look at the fact that even though he was the superintendent at Seaford School District in Delaware, but that was in 2014. So no, that's outside this 7 year window. If we look at him being the deputy superintendent of Prince George's County, we can see that no, that's not going to qualify because he wasn't a superintendent. If we look at where he was the director at Tennessee, it qualifies, but it only is 9 months and 11 days. And again,
Hold on, Tanya. 9 months and 11 days, or
yeah,
two? Because
yeah, that's
2016 to 2019, he
2019 is, oh, actually, well, the reason why it is saying this, because it has to be within the 7 year period.
so he's shy of 9 months and 11 days.
No, no, no. It has to 2016. If we add 7 years under 2016, that would have been 2023. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
outside.
Oh, okay. I got
So yeah, so it has to be within seven
you.
years.
At the starting point. Okay.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, actually, if we really, really count that, because he was at Howard University, there's none because he was not in any school district at all. But then there's 7 years of just silence from 2019 to 2025 where he did nothing. So, me personally would even say that this is outside of the 7 years. So, how is he going to qualify for that reciprocity that is required so that he would be a candidate eligible for the Maryland Superintendent 2 certification? This is something that needs to be explained to the people
Wow. So
because
he's not even qualified. I mean,
ex-
let's just talk about
well,
not
I'm
not
even wondering if this applies for interim superintendents. How did Dr. Carey Wright even sign off on this?
right. Because I mean it's one thing to have the skill set, hey, we're not here to argue whether or not he was effective in Seaford School District. We're not here to talk about if he was effective as a deputy superintendent. What we see is he doesn't meet the minimum, or one of the critical requirements is not even minimal. Beyond education, he doesn't meet the time block.
Right. And this is and we're not, I mean, we didn't make these up. This is what
Right.
we
Which shows
so
credibility.
so the question is, now there is one other path, but nothing has been disclosed to us. What is this superintendent to licensure pathway that they're using to give him qualifications? I would say this to me is the most important because it shows active and consistent performance, which I would think anybody else that they interviewed and name who they brought forth would also
Have had
meet.
that.
Exactly.
Right. Minimally, coming from outside of Maryland, especially.
Hmm.
minimally. So I hate to be a conspiracist, but I'm wondering, did they make some kind of allowance because he got his license and then he got the job? Because what you
Well,
said, he
that
got his
I'm wondering about his license because the letter that we read when we did our FOIA request said that he had this superintendent to license. So how? How
right
did he
in
get it?
April. He got that in April last year, right?
It I think it was in March because it had to, was it March? Based on when, I think it's around March, because based on the letter that we saw, it just gave his renewal date.
Okay.
So based on his renewal date, it had to be somewhere between March and April.
Okay.
So it was in time for this job. Let's put it
So
that
either
way.
way, it looked expedited.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But we don't know what the criteria that was used.
Right.
And we know there was no way in the world he met this.
Right.
And if this was the criteria used, then shame on Dr. Carrie Wright from the state superintendent, who's our state superintendent of schools, because again, that shows that she doesn't care about kids, black and brown kids in Prince George's County, because
Or we
you just signed off on this.
right. Or it was ignored. Not that it was used, it was ignored.
Well, either way, you did not do what was best for children in Prince
Right.
George's County, and this is why I take offense with that. Now, when Montgomery County parents had had enough of the superintendent, and I cannot remember her name, but they were saying she wasn't investigating harassment complaints, and so they
Mm-hmm.
wanted her out. A black woman wanted her out. There was no, there was listening to the people
Mm-hmm.
that came from the state.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't we getting the same from the people who are crying out? We know that the state superintendent received a petition with over 500 signatures from parents, communities, and businesses saying that they did not want Dr. Sean Joseph in the interim position. She ignored them. She received letters saying that they did not they wanted this process that was not done correctly to be halted until it was done correctly. She ignored it and just signed it. And now we're looking at a little deeper dive and we're seeing this. And again, we don't know what reciprocity pathway that they put in place, but the public has a right to know. Because if they are following this one based under Colmar, there's no way a Dr. Sean Joseph should have ever
Right.
stepped foot in Sasser.
Right. That's just, I mean, that's elimination.
Hmm.
I mean,
And so his name definitely cannot appear as a finalist.
right. I'm looking at for a job now, and Indeed or LinkedIn, whichever one gives you out of maybe five criteria, they'll say you met three of the five criteria. So
Exactly.
your chances of being considered are less, right? So I don't know how you only have these four criteria and the one that is most critical to your to proving you can do the job is missing.
Exactly. And that's what we need to ask that question. And that's why this process needs to be more open.
And he didn't last 3 years at any of the jobs he's had.
Well, now he left. Now he did leave Delaware to come to Prince George's County Schools. And then he left Prince George's County Schools to go to Tennessee. So he did leave twice for two, um, you know, I guess you could say it was more of a promotion. So he left for a better opportunity. But when he got that opportunity at the top, he fizzled.
Yeah, I'm just, 3 years is a good window to try to accomplish in any type of position. Otherwise, you look like you're just jumping ship when things aren't going well.
Well, I think if the tomfoolery had been allowed, he probably stayed in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the people had enough.
Right.
So really, in summary, um, he does not appear to qualify. He doesn't appear that he could qualify for the reciprocal superintendent to pathway to become a superintendent. And that is something that is required for him to become a superintendent. So um, then it makes this process suspect if he's a finalist and if his name shows up as the finalist. Again, it speaks to the inappropriate and I'm just going to say it, unethical acts of the Brave Boy administration
Mm-hmm.
because there's no way there's no way he can pad his resume enough to meet this qualification. It just doesn't
Mm-hmm.
happen. And so we thought it was very important to share this information. We'll post this presentation on our page, but we thought it's important for people to know this information because see, this county has a um
Did you stop sharing your screen? Because we're not on.
yeah, I'll leave it back up. Well, let's go back up to the page that shows what the qualification should be. Let's leave it there. Can you see it now?
Yeah, it was just
Okay.
black. That's all. I don't know if you wanted
Yeah, I
us
had
on the
turned to the
screen.
end. Um, One of the things that this county has a tendency of doing is when they're trying to sneak something in under the radar on us, they always do it during a holiday weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Memorial Day weekend. So while we're out celebrating and paying honor to, all those who serve, um, don't even be surprised if the county executive comes and tries to say, I'm doing my duty and I'm going to announce who it is. Because that's what they do. That's how they do it. That's how they deflect. That's how they just slide things in, and so that you're playing catch up. And we don't want to have to play catch up on this. It's too important for our children. Our school system is seeing a deficit that we have never, ever seen in our history, one that has accumulated in less than 12 months. That shows a lack of fiscal leadership.
Mm. You know what
Signing
I'm a
you, go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. No, I
Go
was
ahead.
just I'll wait till you go back to the
Okay, signing a union contract to pay money that you know we don't have, and putting teachers in even more of a dire strait because as you start having to cut, some of them may lose their jobs. Even though you gave them a raise, they may lose their jobs. As programs are cut, they may lose their jobs because we don't have these programs. So, and not even knowing the laws. You're doing things and not understanding the laws by which you're governed. And the big thing of being almost 2 months late sharing the budget with the public, there is no way in the world Dr. Sean Joseph's name should have gone forward if it did. So if he's one of those three finalists, y'all know that there's something not good in the wash. If he comes out as the finalist, there's something not good in this at all. Go ahead, Lavon.
yeah, I know that there are efforts within the school system to address things like the literacy deficiencies and the attendance deficiencies, the truancy. And so we are in full support of those who come and show up every day in the classrooms and
Hmm.
in the school buildings.
Yes.
All of this impacts your ability to perform and to excel and to have those students excel. And so I just need to understand. And I know there are parents organizing, and we give y'all kudos. But back in the day, when they tried to pull the okey doke on parents, you couldn't get into the chamber of the school board. Like it would be standing room only. People would be there all night testifying. And I know that they don't allow people to testify beyond the count of 15, but we need to stop that mess too. If you
Hmm.
show up to speak, you should be able to speak. You are infringing on people's rights. We pay taxes. We can't get you on the phone. You got a full-time job. You only show up for the board meetings. Like we need people to step up the game. We need other folks to do their part. Um,
Hmm.
to address these things, to do the research, to find out what's going on, to support those who are doing the work, not criticize. What's the organization that Dolores, I don't know who started it. I don't want to give
People
her.
leads,
Yes,
parents lead, parents lead.
parents lead. Like, come on, get up, get attached to that one. We still
Yes.
don't have a county PTA or PTO. I don't know what happened to that effort that was supposed to be an alternative parent program. We have the what's it called? PSAC, the parent committee. We
Oh,
have that. So you don't have to have a formal name to advocate for your child or for your children's classmates.
mm-hmm.
Just get on this little thing right here and type in PGCPS administration, and you'll get all the contact names. Their little link is there for their email accounts, their phone numbers are there, and just call, be on record. Because eventually, what happens is investigations cannot be overlooked anymore. There will have to
Mm-hmm.
be something done. And the more we have people on record addressing their concerns, not complaints, their concerns and asking questions, the better it is to prove negligence from our elected people. And so before y'all start barbecuing, I want you to take down this county executive email. It is I mean, sorry, they changed it, I think. It is C executive, the letter C for county, executive at co.pg.md.us. The phone number, because there's voicemail, is 301 952 4131. And just say, we want the selection of the superintendent halted until we get more information. You don't have to challenge anything. You don't have to explain anything. We just want it halted until we get information. And I think she owes that to y'all because she wants y'all's vote on June 23rd. So if you're going to be
Mm-hmm.
political, if they're going to be political, you need to be political. People who say, I don't do politics, politics is messy. No, every day you do politics when you walk out your front door. Every
Mm-hmm.
day somebody is messy in your life. It ain't the politician, it ain't the politics that's messy, it's the people who hold these seats that are messy.
Right.
And we want them to publish the video from last night because that has not gone up yet. So those are your call
Mm-hmm.
to actions. God bless everyone on this Memorial Day weekend. Thank you
Yes.
to those who sacrificed their lives for this country. No matter what you think of it, somebody got to try to protect it.
Exactly. And so we will post this on our page so you will have it so you don't have to, and we'll make sure we put the numbers that Levon just gave you at the end of it so that you can hold this county executive accountable and make sure that she's not making a political appointment. She's putting someone in there that can turn our school system or turn it around because right now we're going in the wrong direction.
Rolling, doom, doom, rolling, rolling down the
Ball
river.
of confusion. I wish Sherman could play ball of confusion for us, but yeah,
Do,
that's what we
do,
got to
do,
stop. This
do,
ball of
do,
confusion.
do. Ball of confusion.
Thank you. Okay, well, thank you.